using the service for the same things. And this principle about designing products around people, I think is going to be fairly universal as well. And it's not only going to be Facebook, I think it's going to be every product, right? Every website, every mobile application. And if you think about it, when you go to have a conversation with someone, if you know something about them going in, the more you know, the better of a conversation you can have, the better of kind of an interface you can have and you can provide. And I don't think the products and marketing are really any different, right? And the more you're able to customize and personalize the products that you offer and the marketing that you have, I just think that the more effective it's going to be. And this big trend of kind of people caring about and being able to have access to the people that they care about, having personalized stuff, I think is universal. That's why I think it's such a big market, and I don't think it's just Facebook. Yeah.
Are there any countries that have kind of interesting usage patterns that are particularly different? I mean, I think of places like India, where mobile penetration is really high, but people sitting behind a computer maybe it's not.
Yeah, well, India is interesting because internet use is relatively small there for the size of the population. I think the last time I checked, it was around 40 million people on the internet, which is tiny compared to the population. Right. So yeah, I mean, we're getting our first crop of countries now that interestingly have more mobile usage than web usage, and I think everyone just thinks that that's only a matter of time until that happens more universally. But it's kind of cool to see it start happening in some of these countries that are more mobile.
Do you adapt to them? I mean, how does Facebook work in a mobile-centric country?
Well, one of the things that's interesting about building technology now is the platforms are pretty fragmented, right? I mean, when I got started in 2004, there was really no question I was going to build a website, right? I mean, software was kind of too hard to build, and I think most things were going to the web, so a lot of software development was on the way out, and mobile phones weren't penetrated enough yet, the platforms weren't developed enough, so it's like, all right, you're going to build a website. Now, there are all these different mobile platforms, so building something now, you can't just build something in one place, right? You need to build something that fits in all these different places. So it's going to be interesting to see how it evolves over the next few years, but I don't think that there's a mobile platform yet, and I think that's one of the things that's holding back innovation there. Now, interestingly, the way that we focus on kind of our development platform is when people think about platforms, I think a lot of the time they think about a vertical, right? So, for example, iPhone platform is an environment in which you can build iPhone apps and use a phone. The type of platform that we're trying to build is horizontal in that it spans across all of these, right? We're trying to build an environment where people can build people-centric applications and design stuff in this personalized way everywhere. Whether it's on the web, on Facebook, on your own websites, in mobile applications, across all platforms. And I think that's going to be a really interesting type of platform to watch too. Because people are just engaging with all these things in so many different places. It's something that's new to the technology industry and probably a lot more familiar for you guys.
Even in the US, I mean, we've seen the rise of smartphones over the last 2 or 3 years, starting really with the iPhone, but now you get the Android platform, all of these great platforms and fabulous devices, little computers in your pocket. Are you seeing people, use Facebook differently or more often, or any effect on that smartphones are having on Facebook?
Yeah, I mean, it's additive, right? So people who use these devices are much more engaged, right? And I just think it's a general thing about technology and efficiency. Is early on, I think it's the notion that a lot of people have is, okay, well, if you can do something more easily, then you're going to spend less time on it, right? Because you can accomplish what you wanted in a smaller period of time because you're doing it more efficiently. But, I mean, in economics, there's the concept of elasticity, right? When the efficiency of doing something goes up, the demand for it goes up. And I think this applies not only to how people use Facebook, but to how marketing is going to work and how development is going to work as well, right? The easier it is to build products, the more people build products. The more effective the marketing gets, the more people are going to advertise, right? And I think that's really good, right? It's going to be one of the driving forces that gets more dialogue to happen in the world, is that now there's such a lower cost and friction for people to go engage in dialogue, communicate with their friends, or communicate in a broader dialogue. It's a lot easier, and it's getting much more efficient for marketers to get their message out and engage with people in a really meaningful and authentic way. And I just think that's going to mean that people do more of it over time.
You mentioned the London Tube application being built on top of Facebook, and that's pretty interesting. What else just wows you right now that's being built on top of Facebook? I mean, what's totally exciting to you?
So the way I think about it is that I think that every industry is going to go through this shift, where every industry that's kind of touched by technology in some way is going to go through this shift where there's kind of going to be a mini revolution, and things and new products are going to come out that are at their core built around people, right? And sometimes I think the companies that have built the incumbent set of products will adjust, and sometimes I think they won't, and it'll be a new set of products. But right now, I think the first example where we're really seeing that on the platform is around social gaming, right? Where there's this whole interesting class of companies led by companies like Zynga, which is a multi-billion-dollar market cap company that's built pretty much all on Facebook. Then there are companies here the company in the EU, Playfish, in the UK, that was acquired for hundreds of millions of dollars by EA. Just pioneering this new way of building games. And the big difference is that the games are designed with this core assumption that you're going to be playing them with your friends. So a lot of the dynamics in the games are that you're managing a farm, or you're building some land out, or building a hotel, and you're doing it with your friends, and you have some resources, and the game is fundamentally built around trading with your friends, engaging with your friends, as opposed to the solitary games that we're more used to playing. And just like everything else, I think what we're finding is that those games are a lot more engaging for people, a lot more natural for people to play, and fun for people to play things with their friends. So they do that. And those games, they grow quickly, right? I mean, Zynga just released a new game, and I think it got 5 million users in a week, right? I mean, most things don't grow that quickly. And I think that part of that is because they're good at designing games, and part of it is because just of the design philosophy that they're doing of having personalized stuff, having it built around people. Now, I think that games are just, in a lot of ways, the natural place for this to start. I was talking to some folks at Apple, and they were really surprised that games took off on their platform too, and talking to some of the early PC platforms, I think it was pretty interesting to hear that they were surprised that games were some of the killer apps on their platforms as well. So I think games are kind of an early indicator for a lot of these platforms, but I just really expect that for all of these major verticals and industries, for there to just be new products that come out that are kind of built from the ground up with your friends and with people at the core in this personalized way, and I think that those apps are just going to systematically be more engaging than what we have today and what we've been using for the last 10 years. And the people who are doing what they're doing now will either adjust or they'll get disrupted. And it's going to be really exciting to watch.
One of the, occasionally we hear about friction between developers and Facebook because, Facebook might make a change and it affects the developer's business. How are you working with the developer community, and are you working to kind of communicate better and alleviate some of that?
Yeah, I mean, with almost 500 million users and 1 million developers and all the marketers that we work with as partners, it's one of the things that I think is the most challenging in terms of growing this quickly as a company is kind of scaling up, not the product. I think that's also its own challenge, but I think we're pretty good as a product organization, but just scaling up in order to kind of manage these large audiences and groups that we're now working with. So yeah, and I think it's a question with developers in terms of how to engage with them, but it's also a question on all these other sides. It's interesting, when we talk about internally how to build up the developer community, the way that we want to model it is how we've built up the community around marketing, right? Because I think that Murphy and the team that we've built here have done such a good job internationally of working with marketers, and I realize it hasn't been easy every step along the way as we're evolving the product, but it's kind of a similar dynamic on the marketing side as it is on the developer side, and I think we've just built a A-class team on the sales side and on the media side, and that's really what we need to replicate on the developer side if we're going to have the same kind of success and be able to scale it in the same way there.
Well, I think more and more advertisers seem to be operating almost like developers on Facebook, which is to say creating experiences and sometimes applications and stuff, and have the same needs, want to know and want the heads up when stuff is coming.
Yeah, and we're getting better at that as time goes on. But the platforms are interesting because it's not. It's a very rich platform, right? Both the developer side and the marketing side. What people develop is inherently custom, right? It's not like a lot of internet advertising where it's like, all right, plug in your keywords, put in your price, now you're done, right? People are building applications and they're completely different things depending on whether you want to build a website or a mobile application, completely custom, and you can build something in every vertical. And I think the same is